My wife was seduced by my best friend to cheat with his boss for money, and she agreed. They even sabotaged my business, so I took revenge. All right, man, grab a beer, 'cause this is a story that still makes my blood boil just thinking about it, and it ain't pretty. It all started, I guess, about a year and a half ago. Things were good, or so I thought. Me and my wife Chloe, we'd been together since college, 10 years, married for 5. I run a small custom motorcycle shop. Nothing fancy, but it's my passion, my craft. We weren't rolling in dough, but we were comfortable, happy. At least I thought we were. Chloe, she's always been ambitious and beautiful. No ding that like stop you in your tracks beautiful. But there was always this restlessness about her, this hunger for something more, something shinier. I just figured it was drive, you know? Then my best mate, Liam, or who I thought was my best mate, he lands this sweet gig at a big tech firm downtown. Innovate Solutions, some soulless corporate name like that. He's all excited, talking about stock options and climbing the ladder. Liam, he's always been a bit of a kiss-ass, if I'm being honest. Ambitious, too, but in a different way than Chloe. More slithery. About 6 months into his new job, Liam comes to me, all smiles. "Hey, Jake," he says, "guess what? There's an opening in the marketing department at Innovate. Perfect for Chloe. Great pay, amazing benefits. I could put in a good word for her." At the time, Chloe was working part-time at a little boutique, bored out of her skull. So this sounded like a great opportunity. I was stoked for her. "That's awesome, Liam." "Yeah, definitely. She'd love that." So Liam puts in a good word, Chloe nails the interview, gets the job, and for a while everything seems even better. She's excited, energized, coming home, talking about big projects, important clients. The money's good, real good. We start talking about maybe looking at a bigger place, maybe even starting a family soon. Living the dream, right? Wrong. So damn wrong. The first sign, the one I brushed off like an idiot, was Chloe starting to work late a lot. Big campaign launch, she'd say, or dinner with the team celebrating a win. Okay, fair enough. Tech world, I get it. But then it was weekends, too. Networking events, client secunda stunda smoozing. And she started dressing different, more expensive, designer bags, shoes that cost more than my monthly shop rent. When I'd ask, she'd just say, "Oh, it's important to look the part, Jake. First impressions, you know?" And Liam, he'd back her up. "Yeah, man, it's a different world over at Innovate. Gotta play the game." Then there were the hushed phone calls. Chloe stepping out onto the balcony, her voice low. Logan a little too much. If I walked out, she'd hang up quick, looking all flustered. "Just a colleague, Jake. Shop talk." Liam, he started coming around less. Used to be. We'd grab a beer every Friday, shoot the now. Always busy, swamped at work, mate, but I'd see his Instagram out at fancy restaurants, company events, always looking chummy with this older dude, slick back hair, expensive suit. That was Arthur Maxwell, the CEO of Innovate. Liam was always talking about how important it was to get FaceTime with Maxwell. The unease, it started as a little itch, then grew into this gnawing thing in my gut. Chloe was distant, like physically there, but her mind was a million miles away. Our conversations became transactional. Did you pay the gas bill? Can you pick up my dry cleaning? The intimacy, the connection we'd had, it was just fading, like an old photograph left out in the sun. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. Chloe was supposedly at another late-night strategy session. It was almost midnight. I called her straight to voicemail. Called again, voicemail. My gut was screaming at me now. I did something I'm not proud of, something I'd never done before. I opened her laptop. It was still logged into her email. My hands were shaking. I told myself I was just being paranoid, that I'd find nothing, feel like a complete ass, and then apologize to her. But I wasn't paranoid. There it was, a threat of emails. Not between Chloe and some random colleague. Between Chloe and Arthur Maxwell, the CEO, Liam's boss. They weren't about marketing strategies. They were explicit, detailed, talking about hotel rooms, that little black dress you wore last Tuesday. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. My stomach just dropped like I'd been kicked by a horse. I felt the blood drain from my face. I read on, sicker and sicker with every word. Reservations for weekend getaways, gifts, expensive jewelry, things I could never afford. Things she could never afford, even with her new fancy job. And then the kicker. An email from Liam to Maxwell forwarding Chloe's resume way back when, with a little note attached. Thought you might be interested. She's a real go-getter and stunning. Could be a real asset in more ways than one. Happy to make the introduction. The pieces just slammed into place. Liam, my best friend. He hadn't just recommended Chloe for a job. He'd served her up to his boss to curry favor, to get ahead. And Chloe, she'd gone along with it for the money, for the lifestyle, for the goddamn designer shoes. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to smash something. I don't even know. I just sat there staring at the screen, the words blurring through a haze of rage and betrayal. Chloe came home around 2 o'clock. Tried to sneak in, but I was waiting for her in the living room, the laptop open on the coffee table. The look on her face when she saw me. Pure, unadulterated panic. "Jake," she started, her voice all breathy and fake innocent. "Don't," I said. My voice was quiet. "Too quiet. That's when I'm really dangerous. Don't even try to lie to me, Chloe. I rid it all." She just crumpled. No fight, no denial. Just sank onto the sofa, put her head in her hands, and started crying. The kind of crying that's more about getting caught than actual remorse. "How could you?" I asked. "With him and Liam? Liam set this whole thing up." She just nodded, still sobbing. "Liam said it was how things worked in that world. That Maxwell, he liked to be appreciated, and that if I played my cards right, we could have everything. There was no way anymore. So this was all for money?" I asked, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "For a bigger house, for a fancier car." "It wasn't just the money, Jake," she whimpered. "It was the excitement, the power, being with someone like Maxwell. He made me feel important. More important than me, apparently, more important than our marriage, more important than 10 years of history." I told her to pack a bag, to get out. I didn't shout, didn't throw things. I just shut down. The pain was too big. She left, went to stay with Liam, I guess. Or maybe Maxwell put her up in one of his fancy condos. I didn't care. The next day, I called Liam. He answered all cheerful. "Hey, Jake, what's up, mate?" "Cut the crap, Liam," I said. I know everything." Silence. Then a nervous little laugh. "Know what, Jake? You're not making any sense." "You pimped out my wife to your boss, you son of a, for a promotion, for a goddamn corner office?" His voice changed then. Got cold hard. "Look, Jake, it's just business. Chloe's a big girl. She knew what she was doing. And yeah, I got my promotion. Director of Marketing. Funny how things work out." "You call this working out? I was seeing red. You destroyed my marriage. You betrayed our friendship." "For what?" "For success, Jake," he said, and I could almost hear the smirk in his voice. "Something you wouldn't understand, stuck in that greasy little motorbike shop of yours. Chloe, she deserves better. She deserves a winner. And Maxwell, he's a winner. I'm a winner. You're just Jake." He hung up, and that was it. My wife gone, my best friend a snake, my life a goddamn crater. But here's the thing about being at rock bottom. There's nowhere to go but up, or in my case, sideways, towards revenge. They thought I'd just crumble, fade away, let them get on with their shiny new lives built on the wreckage of mine. They underestimated me. They underestimated the fury of a man who's lost everything. First, I got a lawyer, a good one, shark in a suit. Started divorce proceedings. Chloe didn't fight it. Maxwell was probably bankrolling her lawyer too. Then I started looking into Innovate Solutions, into Arthur Maxwell, into Liam. It's amazing what you can find when you're motivated by a burning, all-consuming need for payback. Maxwell turns out he wasn't just a Lyris old bastard. He was a crooked Lyris old bastard. Shady deals, insider trading, tax evasion, the whole 9 yards. He'd been careful, but not careful enough. And Liam, he wasn't just a kiss-ass. He was actively involved in some of Maxwell's dodgier schemes. Cook in the books in the marketing department to inflate profits, hide losses, all to make himself look good. To keep climbing that greasy corporate pole, my little motorbike shop. It might be small, but I know people. Bikers, mechanics, guys who work in all sorts of places, guys who hear things, guys who know how to find things. It took a few months, a lot of late nights, a lot of favors called in, but I got it. The proof. Hard evidence. Emails, bank statements, whistleblower testimony from a disgruntled ex-employee at Innovate. Enough to bury them both. But I didn't go to the cops. Not yet. That would be too impersonal, too quick. No, I had something else in mind. Innovate Solutions, they had this big annual charity gala. Huge deal. All the city bigwigs, press, the whole shebang. Maxwell loved it. Loved being the big man, the philanthropist. Liam, as director of marketing, he was in charge of organizing it this year. His big chance to shine. And Chloe, she was going to be Maxwell's date, his trophy, showing her off to the world. I got a ticket, easy enough. Knew a guy who knew a guy. Dusted off my one good suit. The night of the gala, I walked in, kept a low profile, watched them. Maxwell, pinned like a peacock. Liam sucking up to him. Logan, too loud at his jokes. And Chloe. Chloe on Maxwell's arm, dripping pin and diamonds, looking like $1,000,000 and miserable. I could see it in her eyes, that haunted, empty look. Good. During Maxwell's big speech when he was up on stage talking about corporate responsibility and giving back to the community, the hypocrisy was enough to make you choke. That's when I made my move. I didn't shout, didn't cause a scene. I just let the information flow. A quiet word with a couple of influential journalists I knew were there, a discreetly passed USB drive to a well-known financial blogger, an anonymous tip to the SEC with a detailed dossier of evidence, and then the piece to resistance. Innovate Solutions had this massive screen behind the stage showing a slideshow of their achievements. Liam's masterpiece. I'd managed to get a little help from a very talented, very disgruntled former IT guy from Innovate, the one Maxwell had fired to cover up one of his earlier indiscretions. Right in the middle of Maxwell's self-congratulatory waffle, the screen flickered. And then, instead of pictures of smiling employees, up came those emails between Maxwell and Chloe. The hotel reservations, the intimate details, all of it. Big as life for everyone to see. You could have heard a pin drop. Then chaos, gasps, murmurs, people pulling out their phones. Maxwell, his face going from smug to purple in about 3 seconds. Liam looking like he was going to either faint or throw up. And Chloe, she just stood there frozen, the diamonds around her neck suddenly looking like a goddamn noose. I didn't stick around to watch the fallout, just slipped out the back, a little smile playing on my lips. The next few weeks were spectacular in a train wreck kind of way. Innovate Solutions stock plummeted. The SEC launched a full investigation. Maxwell was forced to resign in disgrace, his reputation in tatters. He's probably looking at jail time. Liam, he got fired, obviously. His career over. Last I heard, he was desperately trying to find work, any work. No one would touch him. That director of marketing title didn't mean much when it was attached to a massive corporate scandal. He even had the gall to call me, leaving these whiny, threatening voicemails. I just saved him. Might come in handy someday. And Chloe, she lost everything. The fancy job, the sugar daddy, the designer lifestyle. Maxwell cut her off the second the scandal broke. She tried coming back to me, of course. Showed up at my shop, all tears and apologies. I made a mistake, Jake. A terrible mistake. I miss you. I miss us. I just looked at her, at this beautiful, broken woman who'd sold her soul for a pair of shoes, and I felt nothing. No anger, no pity, just empty. There is no us anymore, Chloe, I said. You made your choice. Now, live with it. I turned my back, walked back into my shop, and got back to work. The smell of grease and metal, the roar of an engine coming to life. That was my world, my real world. They tried to destroy me, tried to ruin my little shop, too, after the gala. Anonymous complaints to the city, bad reviews online, even a couple of acts of petty vandalism. But my customers, they're loyal. They know me. They know my work. It didn't stick. If anything, it just made me more determined. It's not over. Not really. The legal stuff with Maxwell will drag on for years, I'm sure. And Liam and Chloe, they'll probably pop up again at some point, looking for another handout, another chance to screw someone over. But they don't have power over me anymore. I took that back. My shop, it's doing better than ever. Expanded a bit. Hired a couple of good young mechanics. Life, it's not perfect, but it's mine. And that, after everything, that feels pretty damn good. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold. Me? I prefer it served with the smell of exhaust fumes and the satisfaction of a finely tuned engine and the knowledge that those bastards, they got exactly what they deserved, every last bit of it.